You want to maximize customer engagement? Maximizing customer engagement is all about creating meaningful, personalized experience, such as tailored recommendations and personalized communication that build trust, loyalty, and long-term relationships. All right, effective engagement strategies. Make a strong introduction, focus on the conversation, on the vehicle and the features. Avoid discussing topics such as trade, credit, and money until necessary. Use questions. If we were fortunate enough to find a vehicle that fits, you're in a position to proceed. I'm going to ask everybody in this room, I've asked other sales consultants in this room this question before. How many times at some point in the sale have you asked a customer if we agree on figures, are you ready to go? Yes. And the way you looked at me, Mike, it's like, yeah, come on, man, what's wrong with that? If we can agree on figures, aren't you ready to go? That's what we do. That's a close, right? What does that focus on? When you ask a customer if we agree on figures, you're ready to go, what is the emphasis on?
Money.
The money. But if I were to say to someone, Wally, if we were fortunate enough, lucky enough, to find a vehicle that fits, are you in a position to proceed? What does that put emphasis on?
The car.
The car. It's the same question, except the emphasis is on the car and not the price. And the reason I say that is because if we put emphasis on the price, guess where the customer's mindset is? On the price. But if we keep emphasis on the machine, where is the customer's mindset? On the machine. Now, I'll guarantee you that some of the customers, when you say that, if we are fortunate enough to find a vehicle that fits and you're in a position to proceed, and you got to say it at the right time, obviously, they may say to you, yeah, I mean, the price got to be right. All right, I get it. Price is important. It's important to you. It's important to a lot of people. But that's the easiest part of my job. I just want to be sure that we have the right vehicle. Now, you indicated to me that you want this, and this vehicle has all that. So I would assume that this vehicle fits. Let's just make sure it fits into what you want to spend, not your budget. Because I got to tell you something right now. People get offended by you mention budget to them. Because some people simply take pride in the fact that they used to be on a budget, but they moved up here and they're no longer on a budget. And the minute you say budget, they get upset. Budget? You think I'm on a budget? Do I look like I'm on a budget? They're not going to say that to you. It's sad because I'm that person. No, serious. If someone said, what do you want, a budget? I'd look at them, do I look like I'm on a budget? Huh? You know I'm like that, Amanda. Come on, don't be ridiculous. So I take to heart how I react to salespeople. Huh?
I'm on a budget.
Yeah, you're on a budget. I can tell. I know you are. Every time we go out, I can tell.
That's what keeps me on my budget. Let me pay.
Just kidding. Look, sometimes I put emphasis on things to make a point. It depends on the person that's saying, are you on a budget too? If we're on equal ground, if Gary said I'm on a budget, I say, yeah, I'm on a budget too, Gary. All right, anyways, back to this. If we are fortunate enough to find a vehicle that fits, it's the same thing, it's just an updated version. And one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure you're always updating your software. Setting yourself up for success, asking appropriate questions allows you to discover what truly matters to your customer. Understanding the unique value drivers, which I will refer to as hot buttons in the past, put you in a position that meets their needs and distinguish yourself in today's landscape. Because you've asked the right questions and you made a determination of how that customer is going to buy and what's most likely the most important things to them in the next car, you've differentiated yourself from the rest because everybody else is going after hot buttons. What do you want in your car? What do you need? Needs and wants. Do you believe that people buy on needs or people buy on wants? Wants. I totally agree with you, Wally. My wife always buys on needs. When I first met my wife, she was driving a Mazda 323. Not a 323, the little one. She paid like $12,000 cash for it. It was a 5-speed, had rubber mats in it and stuff. And then I'm selling cars, and she ended up getting a 929, but she only wanted her payments to be like $250. I said, no, that ain't gonna happen. But she wanted the car so bad, she ended up paying, this was way back, paying $400 a month. The point I'm trying to make is, she proved to me that wants outweigh needs. But a customer will tell you that, look, that's what I need. I just need transportation back. That's why some of these folks buy some of these electric cars or the smart vehicles and stuff like that. That's all they need. But if you look around you, when people come in, the vehicle they drove in, the vehicle they're looking at, you got 21-year-old kids running around in BMW and Mercedes-Benz. And they come into you and they go, I want a payment of $250. It's all about mindset. Again, I refer back to mindset. So, figure out what they want and then show them what they want. The price the customer is willing to pay for a vehicle is influenced by the level of enthusiasm on the vehicle. I want you to read that out loud. Go ahead. Read it out loud, everybody. The price of a vehicle is willing to pay for a vehicle is influenced by the level of enthusiasm for the vehicle. If you don't create a level of enthusiasm for the vehicle, the price they pay is going to be what? A lot lower than it could have been if you created some enthusiasm. So identifying their value drivers, often referred to as hot buttons, will help distinguish you, your dealership, and product from the competitors. What are you looking to accomplish during your visit today? If you can't get the customer to proceed, what inspired you? I know a little redundancy. What attracted you to this vehicle? What would you like to accomplish today, and what other vehicles are you considering? Will help you to discover or uncover the customer's value drivers. It's an absolute fact. When you ask these questions, and on the next page, focus on the machine, is a list of questions, not necessarily that you ask every single customer. It's a list of questions that are not unique to this business. I've looked at them, researched them, and updated them to what I feel is the most relevant question to ask in today's marketplace. What's the reason for wanting a new vehicle? I think it's a great question, opens up a door. What research you've done so far? How familiar are you with the new technology and safety features of the Toyota Tundra? What type of vehicles are you considering? Do you prefer lighter, darker color? That's old school. Will you be doing any towing with the vehicle? I think that's a great question to ask. Will you be using child seats? Great question to ask. Yeah, I have some grandchildren. You get to know the customer, form a connection with the customer. Do you have any pets riding along? What types of driving do you do? These are all great questions, okay? What safety features are important to you? Do you want the blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning, stuff like that? A lot of the stuff is standard equipment. The customer goes, yeah, I want that. Fine. And you just build value when you walk around your car. So these questions that you ask are going to open the door for your walk around. And then you get right into your presentation. So store all that information into your toolbox so when you get to that walk around part, everything works out. I strongly recommend you pull cars up to the showroom. Based on the information you share with me, I think I have the perfect car for you. Let me go get it. I have a couple of choices for you. I'm going to get the one I think will best suit what you've described to me. Go get the car, pull it right at the showroom, open up the doors, do the walk around, get him in the passenger seat, drive off the lot, boom, let's go. Keep quiet during the demo drive. They ask you a question, answer their question. You set up the demo drive. I had this really big guy. I was in Farmington, Michigan, and he just couldn't fit in the car, so we had to move everything back. And one of the things that he found out, because he had to, was that customers were more comfortable getting in the car and adjusting the seat to their level. And he said, that's really cool. I had a lot of heads nodding yesterday when I mentioned that. Before you do a test drive with a customer, make sure that the customer gets into that car comfortably, so they're not squeezed into the car. Make sure the radios are off and the heat's on if it needs to be, or the air conditioning's on if it needs to be. It says here, hand them the keys. I'm going to cross that out. I guess there's some things going on in the country these days. We hand people keys and they drive off in the car, or they start holding keys in their pockets, stealing cars and stuff like that. There's a few managers in here that didn't like that, hand them the keys. So don't hand them the keys. In fact, he goes, you're not going to hand me the keys. I go, no, I'm not going to hand you the keys. He was in the meeting yesterday. But you're going to get into this demo drive thing or this walk around. You're going to go, I'm going to get the car. And the customer will look at you and say, wait a minute, before you do that, how much is it going to cost me? I need to know the price before I even look at that car. Or they might say to you, what would the payments be on this car? There's a lot of sales houses out there that say, oh, it's about $22 a thousand, so let's figure it out. What are the interest rates? Let's talk about interest rates for a minute. I know they're probably going to go down eventually, but I still think there's a concern out there on interest rates. I look at interest rates as risk, and I think you should explain this to your customer. You don't set the rates, and you have to have, once again, that mindset, and you've got to make sure the customer understands that you don't set the rates. The manufacturer doesn't set the rates. The banks don't set the rates. The FTC doesn't set the customer's rate. You know who sets the customer's rate? They do. And just a reminder of that. All right? The rates are high, but your rate's higher because of your credit history. Rate equals risk. The best way I can describe rates is car insurance. And what do you mean? Let's say you have an accident with your car, or you have a speeding ticket, or a parking ticket. What's going to happen to your insurance rates?
Go up.
They're going to go up. So the insurance company looks at you as a higher risk than someone who doesn't have accidents or parking tickets. So let's take a look at your credit bureau. Your credit bureau, and you can review credit bureaus with customers, or you can explain based on the risk-based pricing, says that you've had a few credit accidents. So until those accidents are cleared up, just like your insurance, your rates are going to be higher. Period. So you want to lay the onus of rate on the customer. That's one of the best ways that I know how to handle rate. I understand your concern about this price. My main goal is to help you find a vehicle you like. Before we discuss the price, let me quickly show you some features of the vehicle I have in mind. Is that going to be okay? I don't need to see it. Okay, I appreciate what you're saying, but we got to be sure it's the exact vehicle. Let's take a quick look at it. There's a saying in the business that the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. Let's just make sure the shoe fits. Many years ago, I was sitting with a sales consultant. He said to me, "It looks pretty on the shelf and nice in the box, but doesn't necessarily mean they fit." I thought that was pretty cool. The shoe might look pretty on the shelf and nice in the box, but what if you get it home and it don't fit? Can't return it, right? Now, looking back at the vehicles you sold in your career, how many of you have actually had a customer not test drive a vehicle, drive it home, only to call you back and say, "Man, I hate this car, can I give it back to you?" Has it ever happened? It's happened to me. Shame on me. I didn't do my job. You got to make the customer drive the car. And now, I can sell cars without customers driving cars. I have in the past. But I know I'll sell more cars if the customer drives the car. So we have to have a dialogue to get the customer in the vehicle. Heat up the car, all that stuff. Pull the car next to their car if possible, crack the window slightly, show them the car. Each vehicle you present is shaped by three main factors: features, benefits, and competitive advantages. Introduce these elements at the right time to improve your presentation. Features attract interest, benefits motivate customers, and advantages help your vehicle stand out from the competition. Features attract interest. What this car has is going to attract the customer's interest. What that feature does is what's going to motivate them to buy. And the advantage that feature or benefit has over the competition is only going to draw you closer to a sale. I said this yesterday. It's not a challenge. I would make a recommendation for the managers, including F&I managers that are in this room, make a mental note or make a note that I would use this for product knowledge and walk around skills. I would take this piece of paper, print off a bunch of them, put them in front of a sales consultant and say, write the feature down, write the benefits down, and write the advantage it has over the competition. And do that as a training lesson for product knowledge. Because I want to stand toe-to-toe with a customer, and I want to be able to, at the end of my sale or attempt to sell, and the customer looks at me and says, "I want to look around. I want to shop around." Oh, come on, man. What are the vehicles you're considering? I'm considering the Toyota Camry. What is it about the Camry that intrigues you over the Honda Accord you just drove? I just got to see it. I got to see it. Let me tell you about the Camry versus the Honda. And I want to be able to do that in front of the customer so that I can influence them and put something in their head so that when they go see the Camry or disparage the... I hate to say it, you guys sell Camrys too. I would probably rather do this, but it was told to me this morning. I said to the sales consultant, this is what I said to him, Brett. So the customers come in a Honda to a Camry, I'd hop them in the car, drive right down to Toyota and hook them over to sales consultants. This is what the sales consultant said to me. "That's not going to benefit me at all." I said, "Sure it will. You split the commission." He said, "No, they don't split commissions." I said, "But we're a family." That's what I said to him. And I can't do a Camry, Honda, Hyundai. Let's do Honda, Nissan Altima. All right? Freak that Altima. This Honda's better. Let me tell you why. I would take the customer to the Hyundai dealership if they're making a comparison. I would take the customer down to the Toyota dealership making a comparison. I would just do that. Why? Because this guy writes my check. That's why.
Customer's going to do it anyway. You keep control of it.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it in-house. And it's easy. That's awesome, Mr. Jones. That's awesome. It's too bad you're comparing the Honda, but let's go take a look at the Toyota so we make a really strong comparison.